So you're wondering how often you should microneedle your scalp for the best tree growth? Hi and welcome to Topson. Today I want to talk about how often you should be doing your microneedling treatments. Now, while it's not an exact science, there are a few things that will help you know what frequency works best for you. Do more microneedling sessions lead to better results? And if so, how frequently should someone do microneedling sessions to maximize their hair growth success rates? It is hard to know the frequency of microneedling because there are many factors. For example, the depth of the needle, how much pressure you apply, or when an individual heals their wound. We still don't know how often we should microneedle. There are conflicting opinions on both sides of the argument, and at higher frequencies, you also have to balance out your risk for cancer with any potential benefits. Let's look at the studies, photos and more. Frequent microneedling leads to better results when combined with minoxidil. The treatment even reverses hair loss in some cases. One study found that microneedling once every 2 weeks resulted in an increase in the number of hairs by 25%. But there's another study out there that showed, when microneedles were used weekly, 40% more new hairs grew back. Both studies utilized 1.5 mm needles and 5% minoxidil as treatment options alongside their respective schedules. But then again, numerous factors can influence the outcome of any given research study, including different subject demographics and investigator bias. I'll put the links to the research studies in the description. But it looks like more frequent microneedling leads to better results, at least when combined with minoxidil. This takeaway has inspired so many Reddit users, hair loss talk forum contributors and others to begin testing more frequent microneedling sessions, twice per week, once per day, or even more, in hopes of maximizing their degree of hair regrowth. Let's go over some user results with microneedling frequencies. This Reddit user utilized a 2.0 mm Dermapen weekly, alongside 5% minoxidil for his first 2 months. After 2 months, he moved to 10 to 14-day needling intervals. He did not use minoxidil on the days that he microneedles. His results were impressive. Here's another example. This individual also used a 2 mm Dermapen once weekly in conjunction with various topicals. He saw great hair regrowth while on this treatment regimen. Here's another success story. After 2 months of weekly microneedling and minoxidil, this user transitioned to just using a Dermaroller for 3 months with these results. How about microneedling twice daily and shorter needles? Some users also report greater success with more frequent needle intervals and shorter needles. This individual has had great results with his Dermaroller and minoxidil regimen. He started by using a 1 mm Dermaroller twice daily for 2 years, but he also notes that this treatment alone was successful in the past as well, before he began finasteride treatments to maintain the hair regrowth. The data from these user studies implies that weekly intervals with longer needle lengths of 2 mm are still effective in conjunction with minoxidil, and it also suggests that needling using a 1 mm length daily may be equally as effective for some. But if these anecdotes are true, and more frequent needling is better for hair regrowth, do these better results come at a cost? Perhaps. What you need to consider when microneedling. There are 2 issues that may arise from more frequent microneedling sessions or deeper needle penetration that is determined by needle length and the amount of pressure used during any given session, scarring, and an increased risk of cancer. Microneedling can have a lasting effect on the scalp. A session's pressure, number of needles used, duration of procedure and needle depth all play an important part in how long it will take to heal from your treatment. You should aim to wound deep enough and often enough to evoke hair follicle proliferation, but not deep or too frequently as it would cause scarring. So, what does the evidence say about average healing times for wounds this deep? When it comes to the length of needles used to avoid scarring, one study found that skin cuts up to 0.6 mm deep may show signs of inflammation for 24 to 48 hours following injury, but will close without leaving a trace of scar tissue. Other researchers have also argued that wounding with longer needle lengths 1.5 mm to 2.00 mm, shouldn't lead to scarring, provided the needles are medical grade and used less frequently, once every 1 or 2 weeks. So it's no surprise that many people feel comfortable using a 0.5 mm needling device each day, and most clinical trials on microneedling have used 1.5 to 2 mm rollers with less frequency of treatments every 1 to 2 weeks. After the first response, the next stage is proliferation. This is when the wound starts to heal. This is when new tissues are made to help your wound heal. The proliferation phase starts immediately after you have microneedled. It may reach its peak after 2 months. The last stage is maturation. It takes 4 to 6 weeks for wounds to heal, but wounds from microneedling take less time. This is because most of the wound is a controlled injury. The depth of the needle and the pressure during a microneedling session can affect how long it will take your skin to heal. The more deep and strong you go, the longer it will take. In any case, here's what is important: you need to allow our scalp to fully recover in between sessions. Otherwise, you may face a potential increased risk of unwanted side effects, like too much inflammation or scarring, both of which will likely impede hair regrowth in the long run. Beyond that, there is one more major concern about microneedling. That is the risk of cancer. There are at least 2 studies that show that chronic wounds may lead to cancer. Obviously, these findings are cause for concern. After all, activating hair follicle stem cells is one of the potential mechanisms by which microneedling helps to regrow hair. If we're inadvertently also causing cancer, that sort of defeats the purpose of our efforts. At the same time, we have to balance out these findings with the facts. For starters, these studies weren't on humans, they were on mice. And perhaps most importantly, these studies weren't meant to represent a microneedling environment, they were meant to represent chronic inflammation from chronic disease. Final takeaways: some people are seeing great results with microneedling intervals that are shorter than 7 days. Some people are using needles that are longer than 1.5 mm every week and still seeing improvements. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe for more.